It's one of those occasions where you're in the news for act. I would like to suggest, from my point of view, there are 3 or 4 things, I would say 4 big issues that I don't see a final resolution on in Durban. One, the issue of the second commitment period of the Kyoto Protocol. I don't see it being settled at Durban. 2, I don't see the legally binding agreement being settled in Durban. 3, I don't see the controversy over or the divergence of view on the 2 degrees Celsius versus the 1.5 degrees Celsius global goal being settled in Durban. And I certainly don't see Durban coming up with a statement, pronouncement that 2015 or 2020 or 2025 is going to be a global peaking year. So I, for one, have great difficulty in seeing a concrete result on these 4 issues at Durban. This does not mean that we don't negotiate, it does not mean we don't discuss, it does not mean that we exchange views, but for me, I think to approach Durban with a sense of realism, one should understand very clearly that we are not going to get a final pronouncement on these 4 issues. Having said this, I think what Cancun has provided, and Minister Elvira unveiled it for us yesterday, what Cancun has provided is a work plan for Durban. And I think it's very important now for all of us to stop interpreting Cancun and start implementing Cancun. I think I find a lot of people, negotiators included, ministers included, tearing their heads trying to interpret Cancun. There are no square brackets or footnotes or curly brackets in the Cancun agreement. I think now the focus should be on actually implementing what we all collectively agreed in a spirit of compromise. So this has been one of the main concerns globally as well as amongst people in India. And from an environmental point of view, Cancun was a disappointment. But from a political and a strategic point of view, Cancun was an advancement. I don't think that, if we are going to be absolutist in our approach, we are going to get that grand one agreement that also fulfills the political objectives of countries and also fulfills the environmental ambitions of the environmental community. So it's an iterative process, it's a stepwise process. We have something on the table. The best should not become the enemy of the good. We should operationalize what we have. We revisit these issues in time for the 5th assessment, which is only about 3 years ago, 3 to 3.5 years down the road. And I think that's an occasion for us to review where we are at. I think one of the mistakes that we have made consistently in the last 15 to 20 years of negotiations is to look for that magic bullet agreement. There is no magic bullet agreement because objectives are conflicting. When I go to negotiate, I am not going to negotiate just from an environmental point of view. I have to negotiate to protect my country's economic interests. I have to go to negotiate to protect my country's diplomatic and political interests as well. So there is a trade-off. And I don't mind saying that, at Cancun, my heart was with Bolivia, but my head was not. Because Bolivia was making a lot of sense from an environmental point of view. But clearly, from a political point of view, what Bolivia was saying was suicidal.